Well, welcome once again to the Dr. Digital Podcast. And what are the 15 ways to improve and write creatively and improve that and look and sound better? Well, what we have for you today is way four. Now, I'm going through all the 15 ways to improve your writing, thinking specifically of screenplays, but of course, this applies to any creative work. What is way four? And that has to do with depth. Now, if you've been following along on the hero's journey, which I previously did, the 12 stages of the hero's journey, and you have not gotten a hold of the hero's journey worksheet, what are you waiting for? Get in touch with me and I'll send you that worksheet. Now, for today's broadcast, what we have is way four of the 15 ways to improve your writing creatively, thinking about screenplays and any creative work. So now, by this point, you've already taken a look at your five premises or screenplays you've already written, and you've made sure that you're not just writing your own version of movies you've seen. You've made sure that you're not chasing a trend that has oversaturated the market, and you've done your research to make sure there's nothing like your script out there today. You should have, by this point, true five premises. Now, I'll be choosing the best of the bunch and developing it more. There's no such thing as simple. Simple is hard. That's a quote from Martin Scorsese, and that makes a whole lot of sense because, yes, you can have a pop music song and you say, well, it's pretty simple. No, it's actually pretty hard to have a hit. So, same idea. Objective to flesh out your best drama concept and find more depth to the premise. Advice. It can often be challenging to figure out exactly what makes a drama premise great. Sometimes it's just sort of that intangible something that makes you laugh when you first hear it. Perhaps it's very evocative and you can just instantly imagine it in your mind's eye. But screenplays have to be more than just their core concepts. The Power of the Dog wasn't just about a jerk cowboy tormenting his brother. It was about his jealousy towards his sister in law for taking him away from him. It was about him fearing his own homosexuality and dealing with being sexually abused as a child. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wasn't just about a failed television actor dealing with his fading stardom. It was about Los Angeles and Hollywood in 1969 and how the many different characters within the story were dealing with their place in the entertainment industry. Pulp Fiction wasn't just about a couple of hitmen talking smart and doing their job. It told four different stories that would eventually converge into one, albeit in a scattered and disconnected fashion until the end of each storyline. Coda wasn't just about a girl wanting to leave home for college. It was about their family dynamic and whether or not they were willing to adapt to a new world as they had spent their whole lives adapting to a world that they could hear. And now it's also about the hearing world adapting to their world as well. Dances with Wolves wasn't just about a film about a soldier exploring the dangers of the frontier. Dunbar found himself in his true being while integrating with a culture that he was taught to fear as nothing more than savages. Simple dramatic concepts or characters that you've created in the form of prompts and log lines are always in danger of being mere gimmicks if we don't look deeper and find the meat of the story and characters involved in the concept. So, beyond the concept itself, we need to know the characters involved, the conflict they will face, the setting they are in, and how it affects them dealing with the conflict that is thrown at them, and the solutions they take on to create a dramatic climax. Climax is key in any story. Without conflict, there's no challenge for your character. The greater the conflict, the greater the opportunity for challenges, obstacles, twists, turns, and reveals. Just from reading that first sentence of the premise, the reader, listener, audience member should immediately have a sense of just how conflict ridden that story will be. Keep that in mind as you're going through the premises you've built so far. When you start fleshing out that concept, try saying it out loud. Imagine that you're telling a close friend the story that you're going to write. This may help you to find issues with the idea and also gives you a sense of what it'd be like to pitch the project. It's important to know this premise backwards, forwards, and inside out before you begin to write it. The purpose of this pre writing step is to get a perspective of what type of drama you've written or will be writing. Many people forget that Hollywood is a business first. While the story is key, you need to understand the business aspect of it first. And in Hollywood, the concept and the pitch are everything. Exercise. It's time to build on the drama concept you've conjured. Choose one drama concept to focus on and start by finding characters to throw into the mix. You can choose character types that are often found in comedies and dramas and create a hybrid of those types and ones that would fit your premise. Then begin to think in terms of beginning, middle, and end. The beginning is where you introduce your characters, their settings, and the things they are struggling with in those settings. In Dances with Wolves, we're introduced to Lieutenant Dunbar. He's a battle weary combat officer that is about to lose his foot in the field. He escapes the hospital tent before his foot can be amputated and then decides to try to commit suicide by way of being shot by the enemy on the front lines as he rides a stolen horse back and forth near enemy lines. He instead survives and inspires his fellow soldiers to engage the enemy. They win the battle, and Dunbar is awarded with the horse he stole, as well as any assignment of his choice. He decides to go to the frontier before it's gone. The middle is where you throw those characters into the conflict at hand. After a long trek through the frontier to his new assignment at a frontier fort, he faces his first conflict. The fort is deserted. He decides to stay. He struggles with the elements and the plights of building the fort back up. He discovers a wolf that went from foe to friend. But the conflict really begins to take hold as a Sioux tribe becomes aware of his presence. He must now defend the fort. But as he does, he realizes that they are friendly people. The more conflict ensues as he struggles to communicate with them, especially after he finds one of their own having tried to commit suicide. To his surprise, she's a white woman raised as a Sioux. The many conflicts that follow involve them falling in love and Dunbar becoming one of them. The end is where they have taken action or suffered the consequences against the many conflicts they have faced. Dunbar decides to abandon the fort and live with the Sioux. Before he does, he realizes that he needs to go back to the fort to retrieve his journal, something that could lead the white men to the Sioux community has now embraced as his own. When he does go back, he's shocked to realize that the military has finally returned to the camp. He is held captive and must now find a way back to the Sioux. Once you have taken time to imagine the broad strokes of the beginning, middle, and end to your premise, you're ready to put those thoughts to paper or screen and then try to determine what added depth you can add to the premise. You have to find ways, to give your concept added depth in order for them to resonate with audiences. But don't worry, you're still in the preliminary conceptualization process. This is just the beginning of fleshing out your concept. Your assignment today is to generate at least a paragraph outlining the actual premise for the concept you've chosen to focus on in this exercise, and then find similar produced dramas. Corner the type or types of drama your story falls under, and then more specifically determine how you can give that concept more depth. You can use IMDb or IMDb Pro to help you with this. This practice will carry over to the next ways exercise and assignment. If you already have a drama script written, generate a paragraph for it. This will help you further develop it. This should go beyond a basic logline, 1 or 2 sentence description, and discuss the main character, their goal, the opposition they'll be facing, and how that opposition explores the humor invoked. While this description of the premise isn't intended for anyone other than you, it might feel similar to an elevator pitch, a very quick pitch. Don't worry about spoiling the ending, as you're the only person who'll read this. Also, this doesn't have to be the premise you'll use for any script, so no pressure. You can always repeat this development process until you find that one perfect concept that you have a passion for. The idea is to learn how to flesh out concepts in the drama genre. Keep in mind that this synopsis isn't set in stone, as stories have a habit of evolving as we work on them. Keep this close to you as you further develop these drama stories into drama screenplays. It will help remind you of the core storylines and the big picture as you dive into the writing process. Hopefully, you're facing a premise that you find deeply interesting, something that is quite unvisual, and something that you want to explore further. If you're not too enthused about the premise, feel free to repeat the assignments from earlier ways of writing. It's much better to have a premise that really grabs you and that you'll enjoy writing than something that's only mildly interesting. For a further example of how to write a short synopsis, go to any bookstore or online and read the back cover of any paperback. Emulate those types of brief synopsises. And that's similar to what I did with Burning America in the Best Interest of the Children as a novel, because you can read that back blurb for some type of example. In any case, that's it for this particular way of the 15 ways to improve creative writing. Until next time, the Doctor of Digital signing off, Deus Volt.